Okay students, now we are going to discuss Unit 4. In Unit 4, we will discuss about T accounts, journal entry, view of process cost flow. And for this purpose, assume there are two processing departments, Department A and B. In this, we consider first the two departments, that the one is A and the other one is B. We will use T accounts and journal entries. Okay. Next is process flow, cost flow, the flow of raw material in T account. Okay, so this is the direct material and we have two departments, right? So direct material incur in this department and direct material incur in this department. So this direct material incur in department A and in department B. Why? Okay, next one is how to record the flow of raw material, right, in process costing. So raw material, see here, raw material credit, right, because we have seen here in our example that raw material is credit and WIP is debit. WIP department A is debit and WIP department B is debit. So see here, WIP department A is debit, WIP department B is debit, and raw material is credit, right? So this is the flow of raw material, right? If here is the two department, if we say consider one department, so raw material credit and WIP debit, and the other department will exclude. But here in this example we have two departments, right? So consider, or we will assume, two department wise working. Okay, second thing is the process cost flow, the flow of labor cost and T account. Labor cost, salaries and wages payable. Again we know that the labor, salaries and wages payable. Labor incur, direct labor. Labor is the liability account, right? So labor incur, and the labor is incur. We have already in the previous one we have materials here, but when the labor is incurred in two different departments, see here the direct labor is debit in department A, in department B the second direct labor is incurred, right, in department B, right? So both department mean WIP department A, WIP department B is debit, and salaries and wages payable is credit. So we can see here in the entry WIP department A is debit, WIP department B is debit, and salaries and wages payable is credit. Or we can say again, see again, salaries and wages payable, see here, salaries and wages payable is credit, mean direct labor incurred in department A and in department B. When the direct labor incur in department A, we will debit it, and when the direct labor incur in department B, we again record as a debit, right? So both departments are debit and salaries and wages payable are credit, and we have seen here from the flow of entry, right? So the flow of labor cost in journal entry form, you can see here, work in process in department A debit, work in process in department B is debit, and salaries and wages payable is credit. Now the next one is process cost flow, the flow of manufacturing overhead cost in T account form. Okay, I have told you that we have discussed about the actual overhead cost and overhead applied to work in process, right, in detail in the job order costing, right? In job order costing we have discussed that we will apply overhead to work in process, right, or we will consider applied overhead to for work in process, right, but we will not consider the actual overhead, right? So take overhead applied to production, right, or to work in process. Both are similar in meaning. Overhead applied to production or overhead applied to work in process, right? Applied overhead again with the part of WIP debit, right? Overhead applied to production. So how much is applied? We will write here in department A and in department B, right? So we will take overhead applied to production is for department A and for department B. First we take material, then we have taken labor, and now we are applied to production, our overheads, right? So we will take overhead as a debit for department A and as again debit for department B. How we will record it? So these two departments are debit. So we see here WIP department A is debit, WIP department B is debit, and manufacturing overhead applied, that is credit, or we have seen from our T account, right? See here, overhead applied to production is credit, and these two are debit, WIP, right? So WIP department A is debit, WIP department B is debit, and manufacturing overhead is credit. Process cost flow, transfer from WIP department A to WIP department B. Okay, in department A, right? See here, in department A, some work is performed and then it transferred to the another department. Mean it is the input. It is the input of department B, but it is the output of department A, right? So material labor overhead as usual incur, but in department A, transfer to department B. Goods is partially completed and it is transferred to department B for further processing. So from here it will be transfer, right? So again in direct WIP department B, material labor overhead already incurred or we have recorded, but transfer from A to B, we will record transfer, right? We will record transfer because we have record material, labor and overhead already. Now we will record the transfer of goods to department B, right? So work in process department A से B में जाएगी, right? Process cost flow, transfer from WIP department A to department B. So see here, transfer to department B, right? And transfer from department A, right? Here we can see here transfer to B and transfer from A, right? Which comes in department B. So how to record this entry? WIP department A is credit and WIP department A is debit because it comes from department A to department B. So debit is department B is debit and department A is credit. Clear? Okay. Process cost flow, transfer from work in process department B to finished goods, right? Okay. In department B, the goods are transferred, right? It's mean the cost of goods manufactured. We know that we got WIP from WIP account, the cost of goods manufactured, right? So we will transfer this cost of my goods manufactured to finished goods account, right? Or we can say to warehouse, right? So cost of goods manufactured debit. So what will be the entry of transfer goods from department B to finished goods? That become WIP finished goods debit and WIP credit, right? So see here, finished goods debit and WIP credit. Finished goods से वर्क इन प्रोसेस डिपार्टमेंट बी से प्रोडक्ट कहाँ आ रही है? फिनिश गुड्स में और वेयर हाउस में, राइट? नाउ it is sold to customer. When it's sold to customer, so finished goods से कहाँ जाएगी? Cost of goods sold. What we got from the finished goods account? The cost of goods sold. And cost of goods sold, it transferred to its account, right? So from finished goods is credit, cost of goods sold, right? And finished goods credit. So cost of goods sold debit, see here, cost of goods sold debit and finished goods credit, right? It means transfer from finished goods to cost of goods sold. It means we have sold, or the organization has sold the product, right? So this is the general flow of process costing, how it's flow from one department to another department. So it's a very important flow, right? So you have to be very vigilant when applying the cost, because it is a flow of without cost, right now it's a flow but without cost, but we will add, when we will add the cost, we have to be very vigilant about it, that how the cost is flow from one department to another department, right? So cost of goods sold debit and finished goods credit. Okay, now